guys, it's Drew from the Money Is Show, and this week we got an incredible guest because another female. You guys know I love to interview female CEOs on this company, on this show here. This week we have Jess from mixhers.com. I want you guys to go check them out at mixhers.com, but I'll tell you all about it on the upcoming show right here. She's about to build into a $10 million company this year from last year only $800,000. How do you go from 800 grand in revenue to $10 million in revenue? We're gonna have Jess tell us how she's planning on doing that this year. She's also a mom of 3 and a wife to a not NBA, but European professional basketball player. This is Jess. Jess, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah. Awesome. I interviewed your friend, Susan Peterson.
Yes,
who
what a great
happened
friend.
to call you.
Yeah, at the same time as we were chatting.
We were in my office there.
Small world, right?
Yeah. And you're about to go meet some of my buddies as soon as you get off the show.
I love when the world feels small. It's the best.
Yeah, it was very small world in my office today. So look, I want to go through a handful of things with you. Number one, the business in general, what do you have going on there? And of course, all the business owners that are listening are thinking, how the heck do you A, launch, and then B, go from 800,000 to 10 million? It's like a huge gap there, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff to cover, but before we go into the business side of it, I want to back up a little bit. I want you to tell us a little bit about like what was it like growing up, Jess, in the sense of did you come from an entrepreneurial family?
Yeah.
Was it kind of an inside gene that you always had? Or were you the first one to kind of launch out? What was it like growing up?
Yeah, so my life, I'm really grateful for the childhood that I had.
Yeah.
I was raised in a home of an incredible entrepreneur.
Oh, wow.
My dad has paved an incredible path for me and has taught me through my childhood that the sky is the limit.
Wow.
And that I have grit. My dad and my brother, who are both fantastic mentors for me. The best compliment my brother ever gave me was that, Jess, I've never seen someone with more grit.
Yeah.
And that's how I was raised. I was raised in a home of they are powerful, they are capable, but so am I. And so I really felt supported my whole childhood in any of my hobbies and any things I wanted to try, any of my failures, and like the challenges that I was facing, like how to get through the challenges and have it apply to future endeavors. And that's honestly how I was raised. I was also raised by an incredible mother that was nurturing and supportive and would show up for me. And that's what I'm trying to emulate in my years as a mother, is that I'm just consistent for my kids. And I actually think that it's fantastic for my kids to see me try to chase a huge goal.
Yeah.
And they're a big part of Mixers. I'll probably cry, but my kids come to the office every day.
Oh, wow.
I have a commute of 22 seconds. I love telling people my doorstep to my front door of my office is 22 seconds.
Wow.
So my kids run over on their bikes. They come and show the office, the team, their little gymnastics tricks when they get home from gymnastics. And that's just what I'm loving, is that I feel like I was involved in the success of my parents and in the know of what was going on in my home growing up. And I saw what success looked like, felt like. I saw how hard work can pay off. And that's what I'm trying to emulate in my home and what I'm trying to currently do with Mixers.
Yeah. Obviously, there's a lot of things going on at Mixers.
Yeah.
Let's talk about.
I'm going for it.
Let's talk about, before we go into Mixers, let's talk about being a mom, full-time mom, 3 kids with a set of twins, and then also being CEO and founder at the same time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, being a mom is already like this crazy 24-hour never stops job.
Yeah, it is.
That's crazy busy, and now you add on a whole massive multi-million-dollar company to it. What is that like? Because growing up, you saw your dad be an entrepreneur, and now you're doing that entrepreneurial side, but you're also doing the mom side. What is that like?
I feel like I've been thrown into the fire a little bit in the last year, because this has been a really recent change that I've made as a team with my husband. It's been a big change in roles for our kids. It's been a big change in roles for me personally. And switching from being the stay-at-home mom and being the consistent parent in the home to now I'm pretty much out of the home most of the day, and I'm the one swinging in for dinner maybe, and then I'm often leaving again at night, trying to get Mixers out there. I'm attending things, I'm hosting events, because that's a huge purpose of Mixers, is building our community. But that's been something that really over the last year I've had to work on my mindset of a working mother. A lot of mom guilt has come up.
Sure.
A lot of feeling like I need to apologize to my kids and then tell them what I'm doing. And then also I go back on that need to apologize, and I'm like, I need to break the norm of what the conversations are about moms that are out and working, but I'm working on that with myself at the same time. So my conversations with my kids now have evolved from, I'm so sorry, I'm gone so much, like I didn't make it to this, I apologize, to I'm proud of what you were at. Do you know what I was doing? And this is the reason why I couldn't make it. And this is why I work so hard on mixers. What are you seeing with mixers? And I try to involve them in the conversations and sharing with them the reasons why I'm out of the home. And I also try to always keep myself balanced with the decisions. If I am missing something of my kids, how important is it in the long term? Is this something that actually benefits my family if I'm at this thing for mixers? Or is it something that actually, this is the time I really need to choose my family? So I'm trying to always keep that balance, but we all know there's no such thing as perfect balance.
There's no such thing,
But it's like just the weight of what should I be doing today versus what should I be doing tomorrow, and take it one day at a time.
Obviously, you're in a unique role of being this full-time mom plus a full-time business owner, CEO. If you could, give some advice to the other women that are out there that are listening right now. What would be one piece of advice you could give them right now, and how to manage those two roles right there? Is it along the lines of guilt, or do you have another piece of advice that you could give them?
No, I think something that has really been helpful for me is actually involving the kids and knowing what I'm doing. I think having those conversations with them and not having them just be in the dark and just thinking like, oh, my mom's just gone a lot and she just does this thing. I'm involving my kids and telling them what I'm doing in my day in the life of my job, what event I'm going to and why. And that's helped me work through that guilt, because my kids actually are excited for me.
Yeah.
It was self-guilt. I was putting it on myself. So working through that on my own and involving my kids has actually been really helpful, because I see from their direct response that they're actually really excited for what mom is doing.
Yeah.
So I think it's just involving your kids and telling them what you're doing, instead of feeling like you just have to sneak out, or like just don't tell them what you're doing because they're going to be sad. I'm actually trying to work on the opposite.
The opposite side of it. So your advice to the moms right now would be super transparent and then get the kids involved, not as a working person per se, but involved as to, hey, what's going on, what's happening, why are we doing this?
I have my kids attend our events.
Sure.
I show them pictures of work. I have them sample our new products before they launch, and I'm walking them through a day in the life of what mommy's doing.
And you're also teaching entrepreneurship at the same time.
I sure
I want
hope
one more
so.
piece of advice from you that I don't normally get to ask, which is obviously coming from the female side. You have a husband who's extremely successful and played professional basketball for 11 years in Europe. And now you have this kind of quick shift that you guys kind of went through of like, hey, he was always the one out and doing everything, and now it's almost the opposite to a certain degree. Give a piece of advice to the couples that are out there and the females that are in the same exact position as you are. What would be a piece of advice you would give them on how to keep the business, the mom, and now you have still the wife role as well? How does that look?
I think a huge, I know that this word is used a lot, but a huge point I'm trying to really focus on in my marriage is be a team player. Communication. So I know that something we've communicated a lot about is that I was the team player with my husband for 11 years. I was leaving home. I was leaving roots over and over again because I was so excited for his success, and I'm on his team.
Sure.
And so I think that because we've been doing that for 11 years and we've really taken it as like team decisions on what contracts are we signing, what countries are we moving to, what are we requiring they provide for our family, and I was involved in those decisions. And that's what we're trying to still do now. We made the decision together for me to go on full time with mixers and like chase a dream, because my husband's a team player. For me too, it's equal ways. He's a team player for me chasing a dream. He believes in mixers too. He's in no way like pouty at home now trying to run the dad mode. He's crushing dad mode in fact, and I love it. But I think communicating like, hey, what part of this is hard for you? You know, how do I need to show up for you? We're trying really hard right now, but it's difficult to
it's
find
like a perfect
time.
book that says do this right here.
Yeah, and we're trying to find the time even to like get on dates and make that a priority. But I think the best thing is communicating and really being a team player. And maybe it's your time to shine, maybe it's his time to shine, and just being okay with being that team player that's consistent for each other.
Let me ask this question, maybe a little bit personal, but I'm trying to help the audience and especially the females that are out there.
Yeah.
You know, you had this big shift of 11 years where you were the team player, the mom, and while he was traveling on games, and you literally moved across the world, right? And then you have this mixer thing, and there's this reversal role there. Have you guys ever struggled with where, and maybe this is like from my own perspective of like, as a guy who's successful, like your husband being successful, that wants to kind of step in and maybe at sometimes overstep boundary lines where it's like, hey, you are the CEO of the company, you are the one that's running it, driving it, visionary. Have you guys ran into those like, hey, that you're coming in too far, telling me what to do? Let's have these lines.
We actually haven't. I think what's interesting is that we're more frequently asked when we like meet people or something, like we're most frequently asked like to my husband, like, oh, are you going crazy being at home? Are you just, and I think actually it's the opposite, where my husband is just like, I believe in you, run for it. I don't know what you're doing, but you know I support you.
Okay.
And so he's not trying to overstep or step in. It's like he runs the home domain and I run the mixers domain. But I think that that's frequently the like the social norm, is that a man is supposed to be like expected to be going crazy at home, or be expected to like not be fulfilled in dad mode. But I think that that's just it's like a generational thing that I think we're all becoming more okay with, women in the workforce and men totally being fulfilled and thriving in a home life. I don't think he'll be a stay-at-home dad for forever, because he has a lot of potential to do other things. But right now, this is just how we've got to run. And
it was a great fit, just because I know, obviously, being professional, he was traveling and traveling, so he's also being able to, I'm not gonna say make up, but you get the point of putting all this time in that as a dad, I'm sure he wanted to be a part of, right, and miss things, and now he's like, gets to go do all those things, right? So I'm sure it's very fulfilling for him, especially just how his kind of role was. Let's talk about mixers now, and you brought this beautiful jar in of all the different mixers here. What I want to do is I want to kind of just take a moment and step back, and I want to tell a little bit about the story of where Mixers was born at. When I say Mixers, just for the audience, it's MIXHERS, hers, mixhers.com. Let's talk about the story of it, of where the birth of this company came from, because I love finding out what drove it, what created it, where did this birth, literally like of a child, but of a business, come from? So you're in Europe, and you already had your one child, who is now 10 years old. You were pregnant. You were having twins, 2 identical twin girls.
What a shock.
Right? And you go through your pregnancy, and then pick it up right there of kind of how it starts. Yeah.
So I was living over in Spain at the time. I was postpartum with my twins, and I was breastfeeding I was really successfully breastfeeding my twins, and so my menstrual cycle hadn't returned yet. But I think I was experiencing some baby blues now as I'm reflecting back. But it was when I stopped breastfeeding about a year and a half, when they were a year and a half old, that my menstrual cycles returned, and they came back with a vengeance. I had not related previously to women that were missing out on, let's take it back to high school. Like I can't get to the high school dance, I'm on my period, the pain is crazy, I'm missing out. Or like I can't show up for, a fun hike out with friends when I was like previously as a young mother. I can't come, I'm on my period. I did not understand that until after my twins. So they were about 2 when I really realized that what I'm experiencing is very painful, debilitating in fact, and it was affecting my day-to-day life. I was experiencing 2-week cycles where I was really wanting to be bedridden. I was in a lot of pain. I was feeling really moody, which also was frustrating because I could tell that I was in my head knowing I was kind of being irrational, but then the behavior was like I was just acting, and it wasn't truly Jess.
Right.
So when my girls were 2 years old, I decided to start seeking medical attention for these extreme PMS symptoms.
Okay.
And I found through this medical care that I was really getting tossed from like medication to medication. I was being told just increase your ibuprofen, use it for more days, all those things. And I was just feeling really frustrated because I realized I'm an open book. And so I was having a lot of conversations with women that were also facing these same things. And it was crazy to me that we all didn't have like a great solution. And so that was when I started really, after a full year of being tossed and turned and on a birth control, off a birth control, try this antidepressant that like felt a little intimidating to me, all those things that I was like, I'm going to be the advocate for my own health, and I'm going to seek a solution. And because I was willing to have open conversations, I actually had an open conversation with, her name is Cody Sanders, and she's now my business partner.
Oh, wow.
She challenged me at the time after having a conversation about what I was experiencing. She is a holistic health practitioner. And she said to me, I know that you've been trying all these medical solutions. Will you let me try to help you? So she gave me what she was at the time mixing in her home.
Okay. Was she in Europe?
No, she was here. So I was home for the summer at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, so that everyone understands, I would go to Europe for 10 months and I would come home for 2.
During the off season.
Yes,
if you will.
exactly. So she challenged me to try these herbs that she was at the time encapsulating.
Wow.
And she would make them in her home.
Yeah, yeah.
And she was also like a personal trainer and nutritionist. So she had told me, I've really helped women through this holistic health approach. And I will tell you, I was like, okay, really? You know, like there's no way this is gonna help me. And she's like, just, if you're really this desperate, you'll give it a try, which I was. So after the first month of trying these capsules, I was like, placebo, for sure. Like I was feeling better. I had less cramping, I was less bloated, and my menstrual cycle shortened. I thought for sure it was a placebo. I must have forgotten what the month before was like. It was like there was no way. Then the second month, I realized that I was less moody. My cycle shortened even more, and the blood flow was less. Sorry, but it is what it is.
That's all right.
And then I really approached her and was like, okay, this is what I'm experiencing. Is this normal? And she's like, Jess, that's the power of holistic health, because I'm working with your body, not against your body. So I went on for a 3rd month, approached her and said, okay, I'm leaving back to Europe. There was a lot of coming and going in these years. And I approached her and I said, would you be willing to go into business with me? I know through these conversations and my years of pains that there's a lot of women out there that need to feel better too. So when I come back, we're gonna do something about this if you're willing. And she was like, the opportunity to change health of thousands of women instead of like tens.
Yeah.
Because she was doing one-on-one coaching. She's like, I would love nothing more. So I left back to Europe. And then in 2017 in the summer, I came home again and we started trying to meet with some manufacturing. Her actual long-term goal was to have her time be in liquid form, a powder you add to liquids for higher absorbency. Obviously, she didn't have the ability to make it taste good when it was capsules because it was just herbs. But that was the long-term goal, to have this be a good, delicious drink.
Sure.
So we set off trying to find manufacturing, trying to find the right help to even start. Neither of us have experience in starting a company.
Yeah.
But we knew we had the drive in us.
The grit.
To complete, absolutely, to complete something that was really hard. So that year we found what would be our manufacturing solution, and then I left.
Let me jump in for a second.
Yeah.
So two questions come to my head. So I know, and the first one is for clarity for the audience. So you were talking about after the year and a half that you, with the kids stopped nursing, you went back on the menstrual cycle. But during this phase, is it under the, I'm going to use the terminology, and maybe it's not the right one, is it under the umbrella of postpartum?
Yes.
The kind of the whole concept you were going through?
Yeah, so my hormones completely flopped from pre-pregnancy to during to after. So I was in the postpartum phase, and that was when my hormones were completely imbalanced. I was having a lot of triggers from my body trying to tell me that I was lacking a lot of nutrition. I was needing to take better care of myself, but I didn't know how.
Right.
So absolutely, I was experiencing postpartum. I have a lot of friends that experience postpartum depressions, anxieties. I was not that in that realm. I was more so in the debilitating pains.
Sure.
But all of that realm is just frustrating and hard and emotional and lonely.
Yeah.
In that whole phase of postpartum struggles.
Yeah. And we talked about this, and I saw my sister go through it, and I can identify with, I just watched her go, I call it the carousel. Like, it was just like, she was trying to figure out what was going on, right? And everybody knew something was, and we kind of knew that it was postpartum, but it was just like, doctor, specialist, and it was like, I'll go to this specialist, try this medicine, now try increase this, decrease this, now take this instead. And it was just a carousel of like, and I remember even as a brother kind of from the outside thinking, I can't believe in the 21st century, like this is still the answer to postpartum. Like, here, try this, and like you said, take more ibuprofen for longer, and try this antidepressant now, and it was just sending her even into bigger like loops, if you will, waves, if you will. It was horrible process that she went through for that. So all that to say is like, that's kind of in the realm of where you were going through and what you were feeling as you kind of had this idea of, okay, when you met your partner, Cody, is that right?
Yeah.
Your partner, Cody, and said, oh my gosh, okay, this could actually be a solution that freaking no one for the last year has talked to me about and given me. This is kind of the birth of this idea of mixers that you have with Cody. You guys are business partners today. Now I know that you go through this process of the fun part, right? And I say the fun part with a grin on my face, the hard part of like, okay, what is a manufacturing and where do I find one?
What does that even mean?
Define this, like how do you Google search, I need a manufacturer, right? Like it's very hard to go do, and you gotta go interview them. And that was your journey. You just said, I'm gonna go back to that grit side of like, okay, I don't know the answer, but I'm just gonna go figure it out. I'm gonna go knock on some doors, have some meetings.
It's a lot about asking people and then asking more people and then calling strangers and asking, do you by chance know? And just getting to the right person.
Someone told me that you did a manufacturing.
Or like 10 years ago, I remember having a really random conversation with you that you're in this film or this industry.
Right.
Do you still do this? You know?
Yeah. And that's one of the points just on like the entrepreneur side I just want to bring up. Like, so many entrepreneurs at that moment right there, I think, stop.
Absolutely.
That's the thing that they're like, well, I don't know where to go, I don't know what to do. Yeah, but none of us did. Like, none of us did when we started.
And I think if I had known, looking back, if I had known, I don't know that I ever would have started. Like, if I could go back to myself and see what I see now and see all the hard things I would have had to go through, if you would have seen it like a big picture ahead, I would have thought that it was way too big. There's no way I'll overcome this. I won't get through all these steps. But the beautiful thing on the front side is being naive to what's to come.
Completely bliss.
And choosing, I will not stop.
Yeah.
And getting over every little hurdle, every mountain, one at a time, and just moving on. I always tell myself, one day, one decision at a time, because I'm still very much so learning every single day, and I'm okay with that.
You get over this one mountain, you finally like beat this mountain, you're like, oh my God, I'm at the top of it. And the next thing you know, you're at the bottom of another mountain.
You have a little descent, and then a bigger mountain.
And another mountain that goes through it. And I think it's a point I just want to make, and I know you're making with entrepreneurs, is you have to have that grit determination to get through that process.
Yeah.
all of us go through it. All of us struggle through it. And I agree with you here. I don't know if it ever really stops.
No.
It's just at some point you're just like, okay, this is how it works. And we just keep, now it's just part of our life.
Yeah, and I think something I had to learn too is no one person knows all the knowledge.
No.
And like you have to be willing to take one lesson at a time and put it on your tool belt and just keep pushing forward, because I mean, I'm still learning
We all are, though.
nonstop.
We all
and
are.
we all are, but I think from an entrepreneur that's trying to start, you assume that those with success around you, they know everything. How silly am I to even think that I should start or see myself with them starting this company? And you think they must have all the answers, and and so I think that can be something that puts people from back from even trying.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Now that obviously you've gone through some major hurdles, you have built a multi-million-dollar company in a very quick amount of time that's growing. And I know you're still going through, and we all do, right? But let me ask you this: do you ever find fulfillment when another entrepreneur that I'm going to say in the timeline is just behind you right now, not in life or whatever, but just in the timeline of entrepreneurship? Do you ever find fulfillment in trying to help them? Of like, oh my God, hey, you should do this. I promise, just do this.
Nothing is more fulfilling.
I love
to
it.
me.
I absolutely love it.
I love it, and I am quick to change the narrative, especially for women, because that's who's approaching me right now. I'm quick to change the narrative of, I know this is a small idea. Like, just hear me out for a second. I'm quick to be the one that's like, don't you ever discredit your idea again, because your idea is different than anyone else's.
Right.
Regardless of there's more of that product in the industry, you are going to do it differently. And you do not just have an idea, it's how you approach the idea and changing that mindset. And I love helping women like release their potential and feel like, yes, you're right, I'm going for it. So yeah.
It's awesome time. So on Mixers, you launch this thing through this like postpartum of, you see this need of like, and the need came from you were not getting the help that you needed, the service that you needed in the whole industry of postpartum. You launch it with your partner Cody. You're still overseas. You're coming back. COVID hits.
Yeah. So just to go back just a second in the timeline, we actually ended up launching in the fall of 2019. So it was August. This is actually our birthday month.
Wow. Both of you are in August?
So I'm saying Mixer's birthday.
Mixer. Okay.
Mixer's launched in August of 2019. And then I left back to Europe. And so we had our one product, Her Time, and I left to Europe. We honestly had no idea what we were doing, but we had a website and we had a product for sale. And then I left to Europe, and we're like, okay,
we'll see where it goes.
Great, social media, like let's just keep sharing. And it grew organically. We're a subscription-based company, so those subscriptions really started to just kind of trickle in. We were doing like 13,000, then 20,000 a month, and just pumped that people were actually buying our product and taking a chance on Mixers. And then in 2020, COVID hit, and I was in Spain with my family. We were locked down completely in February of 2020, and we went into a really strict quarantine. Only myself or my husband could leave. My kids didn't leave the house.
Yeah, a lot different from the U.S.
A lot different. We could leave for the grocery store or to the pharmacy. And that was a really fun time for my family to be locked down together for a month. It was fun and exciting. And then the table turned to being a little bit scary and unsure, and
the border.
And home felt really far away because the ease of travel was gone. And we were sticking around because we weren't wanting to, the team was telling us we'd be breaching our contract if we left. Then things flipped and they told us, quick, you have a short window of time to even get out of here, grab your stuff and get out. And so we had been locked up for 49 days. And we made the journey home from Spain. We arrived the end of April and felt so grateful for home. I've always had a really, I've had a lot of gratitude for the feeling of home after spending a lot of time away and then coming back. So it was April of 2020, which we all know was an interesting time.
Sure.
And the future was unsure. My husband still had a contract in place for the upcoming years for basketball. But we knew in Europe that schools weren't even thinking about opening. In fact, more and more places were shutting down. Was basketball even going to be a thing? Does this even matter anymore to them? And we decided to actually opt out of his contract and really stay somewhere that felt more secure for our family at the time. And that was when in June of 2020, we made the decision that it was go time for me.
Yeah.
It was all in on mixers. You've got to see what mixers is capable of. I have the feeling of like, Jess, what are you capable of? Because this is what you're going to do for your family. And like the time is now. The pressure's on.
Sure.
And so that was June of 2020. And that was when I really hit the ground running, sprinting, breaking down every barrier in my way, and have just really tried to, A, most importantly, change women's health, and B, create a safe space with my brand and a safe community for women outside of products as well. And I'm having an absolute blast and working so hard.
Let me ask you a question right there. And I want to ask it from the female perspective. Do you think that part of, you talked about in June when you came back and you guys opted out of the contract, which is super scary because this was like, okay, this was
it's our income.
That was the income, that was the career, that was what we did. And at that point, Mixers was just really in its infancy stage of like, here's this one product.
It was a gamble.
Yeah, complete gamble.
It was a gamble. I think at this time, we were really thrilled to be doing like $25,000 a month, which is fantastic.
In revenue, not profit, in revenue.
Yeah, in revenue, and really throwing more cash at Mixers to even try to keep it afloat.
My question is, you kind of teared up there for a second because you're like, okay, we made the decision, I hit the ground running wide open, knocking over every barrier, anything in front of me. My question is to you is, do you think part of that comes from when females have this like, I call it the mama bear thing inside of them.
Absolutely.
That's like, I don't give a shit. I'm going to go do this for the sake of my family, my kids, whatever it is. And that thing, like, they have this like internal piece that I don't think men have. I think women have it. And only a few times in a woman's life, and sometimes never in a woman's life, do they unlock that mama bear thing. Do you think part of what hit for you was you unlocked that mama bear internal instinct of, I will make this happen for my kids?
Absolutely.
Piece of it?
Absolutely. I saw this opportunity where my husband had been working so hard for our family and like really providing well for our family, but our plan, what our plan was completely crumbled.
Sure.
So thankfully, because of my husband and myself being really smart with our finances for 11 years and knowing that basketball isn't forever, that gave me the opportunity to invest in Mixers. I'm the sole investor in Mixers still to this day. But because my husband and myself had worked so hard on this basketball career, and then I was self-invested into Mixers, I knew that basketball was really no longer going to be able to be what our family depended on. And I also saw an opportunity for me to really change what felt scary in our finances, because our future was now not going to be what we had planned for. And since I saw this opportunity and really believed in myself and felt support from my husband, I think that absolutely what you said of like releasing that mama bear is what happened and what continues to happen, because I feel like what's the worst thing that can happen is that Mixers ends up not being what we dreamed of, but how could I not even try? Right? I had this company, it was doing something organically, and so how would I feel in 10 years if I just never even tried and looked back on an opportunity that I maybe had? So what I've put onto myself is I'm gonna run and do everything I can like I told you to. And the worst thing that can happen, and my husband and I talk about this all the time, is that I fail and we figure out the next plan.
And I promise you will.
Yes.
Guaranteed you will. It's like there's guaranteed you will figure out the next one.
Yes.
If worst case scenario, this doesn't work out.
I think a lot of people, failure seems like the absolute worst thing that could ever happen. And I thankfully believe that mixers won't fail.
Sure.
But I'm not afraid of, picking up myself up again in the worst case scenario.
I think that for me, I look at it and I think that most people have this fear of failure, and I understand it, right? But I think that I have a bigger fear of regret than failure.
You nailed it. I didn't want to look back
Yeah.
at the, in my mid 40s
Right.
and think, what if that little company, remember when I had that company Mixers? Remember when I just got scared and was nervous to take a chance on myself and like something I was passionate about? What if I would have tried it? Instead, I'm going to look back in 10 years and be like, remember when I went at it as hard as I could, and just be able to see my past in a different way.
Wherever the cookie crumbles, it crumbles. If it goes, it goes. But I will not have regret.
Yeah.
I will not have regret. I will not get my deathbed and be like,
dust your shoulders off.
I wish I would have tried that one thing. No, I tried all of those things, right? And the other thing is, like, especially as a mom with kids, like, how do you think about this? Like, how do you look at your kids and you want to say to them, and you should say to them, chase your dreams. Like, whatever that dream is, go for that right there. And then you don't even do it yourself. But you're trying to get them to go do it, but you don't go do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like a complete double standard.
Yeah. And I am passionate about my son believing in himself. I think it comes more naturally for men to really believe in their potential. And I want nothing more than my daughters to feel like there is nothing that they can't try to do or attempt or dominate. I want them to feel powerful and be raised by seeing their mom be chasing dreams too.
Absolutely. I love it. On that note, do you think that, I know you're very passionate about helping women do this, of being a CEO, being a founder of companies and running with this, right? And I know you and Susan are great friends, and she has that same passion as well. Do you think that, going back to the kind of the concept of the mama bear mentality, if you will, and that may be the wrong terminology, but I think you understand what I'm saying. Do you think that more women should pursue and let that mama bear out in business?
I think that that mama bear feeling can be released in so many different ways. I think that there's a lot of women that have no desire to run a company, and I think that that's absolutely okay, but how do you release your best self?
Right.
Is it that you're pushing yourself physically to achieve something that feels really hard physically? Are you being an advocate for your kids and their schools, and you're going to be for sure the one that gets school lunches paid for all the kids, whatever it is. Finding a purpose in a woman, I don't think there's anything more like unstoppable than a woman on a mission.
Yeah.
And
that's what I'm saying. I agree.
Yeah.
Like, when I look back at my mom and I see my mom who, at certain times, like, I grew up in a very great family, and my father was a great provider. But there were certain times I saw my mom, like, kind of move to the side for a second from being my dad's right-hand person, and kind of moved to the side and said, I'm going to go do this. And it was like, damn, wow.
There she goes.
There she went. And there was no stopping that my mom at that moment. And even my dad had to, like, step aside and say, okay, well, here, you go do that. And I love how women have that ability. And I think what you're leading into, and I think what I'm trying to say is, like, I think I would love for more women to feel the this is not the right word, but feel the permission to go do that thing.
You nailed it with the word permission.
Yeah.
And I feel like we no longer need permission. We need to allow ourselves. It's like we don't need permission from the outside. It's like just allowing ourselves to dream. I think that the amazing thing about women is that we spend a lot of our lives living for others and caring for others.
Naturally.
And you can still do that and also allow yourself to take care and, you know, exceed on your own too.
I absolutely love it. I know we're running out of time here. I want to hit, these are a ton of these products that you brought in, and you have so many different flavors.
Check us out so that it's not so confusing for people. I think a really great place for people to start is our Instagram. It's just at Mixhers, Mixhers.
Right. Okay.
And we have a lot of highlight bubbles that go through and deep dive. We call them deep dives, every single one of our products. What is in it? What are you putting in your body? Why have we chosen this product and this ingredient? Why is this the best for you? And we really empower women to feel educated with their health. That's what we focus on our Instagram, and we have a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
So check us out on Instagram.
Absolutely love it. And these are simply packets. You pour them in water and then drink it. And you have your main one, which is your original Her Time. This is the original one, and still the #1 seller that you guys have at the company, which is the Her Time. And then you guys have just came out with all the things that women go through that they need in nutrients. And like I said, when my sister went through it, it was all the hormonal change and so forth. It was like, again, it's like our body is screaming out that I'm missing something, and it's the nutrients that are there. And you guys have so many. This is the Her Greens. You have the smoothie one. You have a nighttime one.
Yes, we have Her Nightly.
The Her Nightly.
We have Her Love, which helps with low libido. What we're doing is answering to very common health frustrations that women face, but it's hard to find the solution for.
Right.
We also have the conversations that sometimes feel hard to open up about too. And we're providing the nutritional therapy that women need to feel better, to thrive in their life. We're also really opening up about the why women are feeling this way. Why do you have low libido? Did you know that that's actually hormone health? It's not that you actually are in love with your partner. There's an answer for why your libido isn't there. There's an answer for why your periods feel really hard and that you're moody and you feel crazy. There's a reason, and we're helping empower women to know there's so much life to unleash. Let's get you feeling your best so that you can go out and thrive.
Yeah.
We've over the last year, we've launched 12 complete new product categories. We're trying to provide exactly her needs from sun up to sundown and eliminate any need for searching anywhere outside of Mixhers, because you think of an issue you're having, Mixhers delivers. And we make it simple by having a subscription that how often do women go grocery shopping, whether it's Costco and you're loading up on all the things your family needs, and then you get home and women realize, I forgot my own razors.
Right.
I forgot my own this, because you're thinking as you're shopping for all the needs in your family. That's why I'm adamant that we make it as easy as possible for Mixhers to show up for a woman. She doesn't have to think about it. She subscribes, a box comes to her door, and she's ready to unleash the healthiest month.
Yeah.
You know, she has all of her needs right there in a box because Mixhers takes care of her.
Yeah. I absolutely love it, and I love that you're doing it I love that you expanded it from sun up to sundown, because there's all different things throughout that day, not just the Her Time, which is the main one, I still believe, but I love that you covered across the board. Your model's incredible, and obviously it's showing, because you went from $800,000 to multi-million in a year of subscription-based for her. There's 1,000 questions I want to ask about this, but I know we got to go for sake of time. So maybe we can have you back on, because I love to go more into depth of these, because I think the Her immunity, especially right now with all the things that are going on with COVID and everything, and now the new Delta strand, that would probably be a massive, massive seller. I mean, not seller for you, but seller for them, that you guys should maybe start with Her Time and Her immunity as it fits into it. And then you guys you call it a mocktail, meaning you're mixing several of these together, right?
Yeah, so the concept, you asked me such a great question right before we jumped on this of like, okay, so is a woman expected to use every product? And actually the answer is yes, but it can look like a lot of things to be using, and I understand that, but the whole concept of Mixhers is to make your own Mixhers mocktails that are healthy for you. So I
non-alcoholic.
So I dump 3 to 4 sticks together at a time, and I know I'm getting my daily multivitamin, I know I'm getting my daily dose of greens, the vitamins and minerals that come in greens, and I'll dump my Her Time daily into 1 drink. And that is a jam-packed drink that is going to set me up for success in the day. Later, I'll dump in my Her Power, I'll dump in my Her Hydration, I'll get myself set up for some other meetings, and then in the evening, I'll make sure to get myself my Her Nightly, my Her Love, you know, and it's throughout the day, sun up to sundown, and I just dump and stir my mocktails all day long.
Love it. What an incredible model, and such a cool thing. If they want more information, you can either go to the Instagram at mixhers, H-E-R-S,
Yeah.
Or straight to the website at mixhers.com as well, and they can find out kind of, you have bundle packs kind of pre-set up for them, etc.
Yeah, we make
for it as
health
well.
easy. We have bundles. We have a lot of education if you don't know where to start. And we also have a fantastic community of Mixers girls where women can come and reside in a community and get their questions answered, make some friends, tackle some taboo topics and things you're facing in your personal life. And it's just a hub of women that are just ready to wrap their arms around each other virtually.
Yeah, because community right now is so big in business, is understanding not just commerce, but understanding community.
Yep.
And I think one massive secret in business is understanding community, which you've obviously done in such a arena that needs that open community.
Yeah.
Because like you said, even in your example, it's like you were in Europe, no one around, and you're going through you're going through all the hormonal changes, and you can easily get onto an island, and then you don't want to talk about it, and then no one's there to talk about, and then you're stuck.
Yeah.
And it only goes downhill from there.
Yeah,
so
opening up the
job.
conversations and allowing a safe haven for women is like a top priority.
Love it.
For myself, and then also, I know the power of community. Mixers has grown because of our Mixers girls, because women are ready to rally around one another. They're ready for the answers for their own health. And my company is growing because of women wanting to see other women succeed, whether that's me in business, whether that's each other succeed in finding solutions for their health. So Mixers is growing because of the women involved in the community.
Absolutely love it. Let me switch over to our last question here, which is, we have a beautiful picture of you, you here, and money is blank. So I'm gonna give this to you. You fill this in. I think we kind of started both of ours on the topic of, let's just have an open, authentic conversation about a subject that people don't want to talk about, right? So you put your answer here, however long it is, and then you sign it right here.
Let's
then
go.
we will talk about this and wrap this up. There's your Sharpie.
Here we go.
Okay.
Let's see if you like it.
Jess Toolson, her answer is money is attainable. Money is attainable by Jess here from Mixers. Okay, Jess, let's talk about it. What do you mean when you say, what does that mean to you? When you say, and I think I'm going through my head right now, I think that's the first time anybody's put that word, which is what I always look for. Is it a new word? I believe it is. But what does that mean to you? You said attainable.
I think people have fear around money, and they have a hard time envisioning themselves with money.
True. Very true.
And money actually is easier for people to make than I think the usual person believes. And I think that once people release their inner dreams and just go after them, money will come easier than they thought.
Yeah.
And so to me, there's no reason why I can't have success, why I can't be a good person, why I can't do a lot of great things with a lot of money. And so to me, money is attainable because I'm going after dreams, I'm chasing dreams, and money can be mine.
I think you're giving a great secret to money with your answer, because so many people, I think, when they first start off, what they're looking for and what they're going after or chasing is actually money. And if you chase that money, you'll actually find nothing but misery.
It's about the passion.
The entire time.
What are you chasing?
But it's like, and if you follow that, right? I don't care what it is. Like, I was just at this big conference and someone on a big, huge podcast event, and someone had opened a podcast about chickens because they love chickens. Like, as a chicken farmer, he's like, well, no one's gonna, and he's like, this dude is crushing it with all these sales now, but it's not why he started it. He started it
passion for
because
chickens.
he's like, I love chickens. It's like, okay, well, go do that then. And I think you can see this in your own life, right?
Yeah.
Like, you never set out and said, oh, I want to make this $100 million business.
No.
Neither did Susan Peterson with her incredible business. But you went out and said, I need to go help myself, my own family. And then how do I help others through this process?
Absolutely.
And down that journey, you will find money. And then, like you said, it actually is like oh yeah, this is actually super easy.
Yeah.
Because you weren't chasing it. You were
followed
chasing
your
the
passion, and money is just going to come on the side when you stay focused on what you know is your best self.
100%, man. What a brilliant, brilliant answer, and such a great word, and so much deep truth inside of that word. If people, entrepreneurs, will understand the deep truth of what you just said of money's attainable, because it's really about your passion. Follow that passion and the money will follow. I promise it will. Awesome, awesome. I love having you on the show. I love having you here. I know you got a great meeting with a buddy of ours that you're about to head to even probably grow even more with Mixers as well. You got such big dreams and such a great passion. Your passion is very, very real. I interview people all the time and they have a business, and some of them have a business because, well, this is their business and they kind of were into it, or they started and it's cool. And there's other people like you that come in and it's like, oh, the passion of what they're doing is overwhelming. And they lead with their passion, and that's 100% you, man. Your passion is so real and so sincere. Thank you. And I know that's why Mixers is doing great and is only going to do better, because when you have a CEO at the top of it that is all passion driven, the sky is absolutely the limit to where you could go. I love having the show. You guys watching the Money Is Show, thank you so much for watching. Again, this is Jess from Mixers. We'll see you next week on the Money Is Show.